Cruise news, everyone. Back again with the latest news on everything cruising. This week we want to talk about the first cruise. Some common questions I get with first-time cruisers are, and also with return cruisers, people that haven't cruised in, say, the last 10 to 30 years or so, are how long of a cruise should I take? Should I go for 3 to 5 nights? Or should I take something longer? So that's one of the common questions. Another one is, what type of an itinerary should I choose? Should I go Caribbean, Alaska, Mediterranean, and all the in-between? So there's a lot to be explored there too. And also, one of the things that I get asked about that I think I would like to go into more details, more on an individual itinerary type, is when should I take this cruise? That's going to be very much dependent on where you're looking to go and how long you're looking to sail for. So I think, for that one I'll keep for another time. But for the first two, those definitely I think have a pretty huge impact on first-time cruisers, and it's a very common question that I get asked a lot. Really, one of the things that's gonna help you to answer this question is who's going on the trip, and also what needs are you looking to satisfy. Are you looking to satisfy the needs of a couple, a young couple, an older couple? Is this a family? What kind of are we talking about? Teenagers? Are we talking about younger kids? So those things all factor when you're considering your first cruise, and whether or not to go on a shorter cruise versus a longer cruise. Now, for younger couples, so basically I'll say, under people that are not retirees, basically, I would recommend for your first cruise taking a 3 to 5 night cruise, somewhere in that range. So that way you get a chance to explore this on a shorter term to see whether or not it is something that you are interested in, which I think pretty much you're gonna love, because cruising is really, really fun. But at the same time, you get to see multiple destinations, so you can kind of have an idea of what you would want to do on a longer cruise. Now, for retirees, I would say just go for it and go for a longer cruise and go with a premium cruise line. And basically that can kind of cater to the experience that you're looking for, and my God, there are so many great ones out there. For your families with younger kids, I would most definitely recommend taking a shorter cruise first. That way you can see, how your kids adapt to being on a cruise ship. And, if it's something that they don't enjoy, which, again, the cruise lines have fantastic kids programs, so more likely than not, they will absolutely love it. You're going to be trying to get them to come back to their cabin or move on to the next thing, because there's going to be so much great things for them to do. Now, for families with teens, you could take a chance and go on a longer cruise. So something like a 5 to 8 nights would probably be okay with teens. Again, with that, I would say picking the ship becomes pretty important, because there are a lot of different types of cruise ships out there, and some of them are really, really good when it comes to providing programming for teens and young adults, people in their late teens and early 20s. So so we can go into that in a future cruise cast and talk in more details about that kind of experience. now that you've decided how long of a cruise you want to take, next you're going to want to know where it is that you can go. For shorter cruises, if you begin taking a 3 to 5 night cruise, most likely it's going to be a cruise sailing to the Bahamas. If you're lucky, Bermuda. Also, you might find some that are going to the Western Caribbean, so say Jamaica, Grand Cayman, and some heading to Cuba, and a few going to as far as Mexico, Cozumel and such, Progreso. Depending on where in the country you are, there's going to be different types of itinerary available to you, unless you're willing to fly. So this is something I would like to go into in a future podcast, of course, is to talk about, depending on where you live in the country, what kind of itineraries are available to you without having to purchase, very expensive flights to get you to the cruise port. Now, in addition to the itinerary, picking the right ship is going to be very important as well. Like I mentioned before, whether it's retirees that are taking a cruise, whether it's going to be a family or a couple, or a younger family versus an older family, the type of ship that you would choose to be on plays a pretty big role. And this is something else I would like to go into in the future for a podcast, on a future cruise cast. As I mentioned before, this is a whole lot of fun for me, so please like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. And I want to see your comments. Please leave some comments at the bottom of the page. And again, for those that can and those that want to, please visit our Patreon page. Just do a search on Patreon for Cruise News. I'll leave a link in the bottom, in the description, so you can more easily find my Patreon page. Thanks again, and see you next time.
Here we go with the last time in the second round. Down with 3, 2, 1, 4. All right, let's watch the replay to see the technical aspects of that belly flop. Yes, look at the body moving in unison. Look at the leaves that comes off there. You can see his belly moving in the wind. Judges. Oh, we got 5s over here, 5s, a couple 4s, mostly 5s right there, all 5s over here, 4 and 5. Even the friends are giving 5s, 4 and 5. Turn around. Oh, look at me. Colors them off. 5s on top, 4 and 5 over here. 1s from Puerto Rico again. Today on the highs, today on the lows, we'll give a score of 4.89749.